You have been trained to be free. Not free like powerful. Free like the sample tray at the grocery store, the one anyone can take a piece of with a plastic toothpick without even slowing down their cart. You answer every text within a minute. You say yes before you've checked your own calendar. You explain yourself to people who never once explained themselves to you. And somewhere in the middle of all that generosity, a quiet math started running in the background of every room you walked into. If it costs nothing to get your attention, it costs nothing to lose it. That is not a personality flaw. That is a price tag. And right now, yours reads 0. You think confidence is a feeling you're missing, some warm certainty other people were simply born with. It is not a feeling. It is a price. Confidence is the number you have quietly attached to your own time, your own attention, your own yes, and your own no. And the world, without one word of discussion, has been reading that number off you since the day you stopped fighting for it. Machiavelli wrote that it is much safer to be feared than loved, because love is held together by a chain of obligation that people, being self-interested, break the moment it serves their own advantage. Translate that out of the language of princes and into the language of self-worth. It is far safer to be respected than to be liked. A liked person is available. A respected person is priced. And nobody breaks the chain on something they had to pay for. Here is what we're doing. We're going to walk through the exact mechanism that sets your price in every room you enter. The moments you don't notice. The habits you call being nice. The apology you don't even hear yourself making anymore. And at the end, I'm going to show you the one move that changes your price permanently. It is not the move you think it is. It has nothing to do with being cold or cruel or hard to reach. Most people guess wrong about what it is, right up until they see it. Stay with me until then. Phase 1, the free sample. Think about the last 5 times somebody canceled on you last minute. Did you get an apology or did you get a reason? Now think about the last time you canceled on someone with real standards, someone whose time actually costs something in the room. You didn't just cancel. You rehearsed it. You apologized twice. You probably offered to make it up to them before they even asked. That gap is the whole lesson. People do not treat you the way you deserve. They treat you the way you have priced yourself. And you have been marking yourself down for so long, you no longer remember the sticker you started with. You say yes to the invitation you didn't want, because saying no might make you seem difficult. You laugh at the joke that wasn't funny, because disagreeing might make the room cold. You send the text explaining exactly why you were 5 minutes late, in full paragraph form, to a person who has never once explained an unanswered message to you in their life. Every one of those moments feels small. None of them are small. Each one is a price cut, posted in public, and the room
is always watching the register. Here's what the cheap version of you never learns. Explaining is not politeness. Explaining is a discount. Every time you justify a decision nobody with actual standing would ever ask you to justify, you are telling the room your yes was never a decision at all. It was a default setting, available to whoever asked first. You are not doing this because you are weak. You are doing this because somewhere along the way, you learned that being needed was safer than being wanted. Needed people don't get left. Wanted people get chosen. Nobody ever taught you the difference.
So you built a whole personality around being impossible to leave and became exactly the kind of person nobody has to fight to keep. This is not about being rude. This is not about disappearing on people who love you. This is not about turning every yes into a negotiation. This is about knowing the difference between generosity and a fire sale. But it gets worse. Phase 2. The room reads the price tag before it reads you. Walk past a restaurant with no menu in the window, no prices anywhere in sight, and something in you assumes it must be expensive. Walk past a table stacked with items marked free, and something in you assumes they're worth exactly what it says. Nobody had to tell you either of those things. The absence of a discount is a signal. The presence of one is too. People read you exactly the same way in about 4 seconds before you've said a single interesting thing. They read your posture. They read whether you fill a silence out of comfort or out of panic. They read whether you laugh to be liked or because something was actually funny. And within those 4 seconds, before any conversation has really started, the room has already quietly filed you under a price. Here's what the expensive never do. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't perform enthusiasm to prove they're worth talking to. They let a pause sit in the room like furniture, because they know something you haven't learned yet. The person who panics first in a silence has just announced who needs the conversation more. You've felt this from the other side too. Think of the partner who messages back in seconds, cancels their own plans for a single text, and apologizes for asking where you were tonight. You don't love that person more for being that available. You quietly value them less, not because availability is bad, but because availability with no limit reads like availability to anyone. It's a price tag that reads whatever the customer wants to pay. Now think of the person in the same room who says the unpopular thing calmly, who disagrees without raising their voice, who is polite but does not soften every sentence into an apology. You don't like that person automatically. You watch that person. And watching is the first tax the room pays toward respect. This is where the wolf and the sheep split. The sheep moves with the herd because the herd feels safe, and safety is free. The wolf moves alone because the wolf has never once needed the herd's permission to take up space. You are not being asked to become cruel.
Time equals, quote, 0.5 seconds, quote, / greater than. You are being asked to notice which one the room has been pricing you as this entire time. Here's the part they never teach you. Status is not built from being impressive. It's built from being unbothered. The most magnetic people in any room are rarely the loudest. They're the ones who seem the least interested in being liked by everyone in it. Because a person chasing every approval in the room has already told the room their approval is cheap too. Stay with me. If you've caught yourself doing even one of these, explaining a decision nobody asked you to defend, laughing before the joke lands, agreeing just to keep the temperature warm, comment the word "priced" below. I want to see how many of us have been marking ourselves down without ever knowing there was a sticker to change. Phase 3. The silence that sets the price. Here is the mechanism underneath everything we just covered. Every time you explain yourself to someone who hasn't earned the explanation, you hand them a small piece of the authority over your own life. Every time you justify a boundary instead of simply holding it,
You are negotiating a price that was never supposed to be up for negotiation in the first place. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few ever experience what you really are. Most people only ever manage your surface, not your substance. Translate that into your own life. You do not owe every room access to your full reasoning. You do not owe every question a paragraph. The people who have actually earned your explanations already know they don't need to ask for them, because you've built something with them that doesn't run on interrogation. Everyone else is just checking whether the price is negotiable. Watch what happens the moment you stop explaining and simply state. Not louder, not colder, just shorter. "I can't make it" is a full sentence. It does not need a reason attached to prove it's a real one. The person who needs 3 sentences of justification to accept a 2-word answer was never actually asking a question. They were pricing you, waiting to see how quickly the number moves. This is not about being distant. This is not about withholding warmth from people who deserve it. This is not about turning every conversation into a negotiation you refuse to lose. This is about understanding that your reasons are not currency the whole room gets to spend. Here's what the room never says out loud, but always acts on. The less available something is, the more it assumes must be behind the curtain. The more available something is, the less anyone assumes there's anything behind it at all. You are not an exception to that pattern. You have simply been standing in the free bin, wondering why nobody treats you like the thing behind the glass. Read this twice. Phase 4. The discount you give when you apologize for existing. You know the habit. You bump into a stranger and apologize twice. You ask a simple question at work and open with, "Sorry, quick question." You take up 30 seconds of somebody's time and treat it like a debt you now owe them. None of that is politeness. That is a person walking through the world pre-negotiating their own worth down before anyone even made an offer. Here's the instinct worth learning, the same one behind every price tag that never moves. The things that never chase attention are the things attention chases back. A product that is sold out doesn't apologize for being unavailable. It doesn't announce a restock schedule to calm anyone down. It disappears. And the disappearing is what makes the next person check back tomorrow. You have spent years doing the opposite, staying eternally in stock, always reachable, always sorry, wondering why nobody circles back to check if you're still there. Why would they? You never left. Here's what actually happens the moment you stop apologizing for space you're allowed to take. Nothing collapses. Nobody storms out. Most people don't even say anything out loud. They just quietly recalibrate. The same way you'd recalibrate if a free sample suddenly had a price tag stapled to it. Some of them will pay it without a word. A few will complain, loudly, that you changed. Let them. The ones who only ever valued you at 0 were never going to pay any other number anyway. And their complaint is not proof you did something wrong. It's a receipt. This is where the stakes stop being about a single conversation and start being about your whole life. Every relationship you've ever built at a discount, friendship, work, love, was built on a price you now have to either honor forever or renegotiate in public. Renegotiating feels like risk. It is not the risk. The actual risk is spending 40 years as the version of you that apologizes for existing and calling it humility instead of what it actually is.
A bill you kept paying so nobody would ever be upset with you. Made out to people who never once checked whether you could afford it. If you've ever apologized for something that needed zero apology, for asking a question, for taking up space, for having a preference, tell me the exact sentence you said in the comments. I want to see how many of us were trained to say sorry as a greeting. Phase 5. The rebrand. Remember the promise from the beginning. The one move that changes your price permanently. The one almost nobody guesses correctly. Here it is. And it is not what you think. It is not becoming cold. It is not becoming difficult or distant or building a wall so high nobody can reach you. Coldness is just another performance, and performances are exhausting to maintain forever. The actual move is smaller than that and far more permanent. Stop negotiating your price out loud and start simply living at it. Notice that luxury brands almost never go on sale. Not because the product is somehow magic, because the moment the price moves for one customer's convenience, every previous customer who paid full price quietly reevaluates what they actually bought. Your standards work exactly the same way. The instant you renegotiate your worth to keep one person comfortable, everyone who has ever respected your worth watches that number move too, whether they say so or not. This isn't only about you either. Whatever price you carry into a room, you also carry into every relationship you build after this. 1. Including the ones with people who watch you closest, your own children one day, or anyone who treats you like a compass. Children don't learn worth from your sentences. They learn it from your price. Spend a lifetime training yourself to be available to anyone for free, and you have also just handed the next generation their opening lesson in how to be cheap. Break the discount here, and you break it for two. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is the arbiter of half our actions. He also insisted the other half remains entirely within your own control. What the room decides about you by accident, at first glance, before you've said a word, that's fortune, and you were never going to fully own that half anyway. But what you decide about your own price, on purpose, every single day, in every small moment where you could explain, apologize, or discount yourself and choose not to, that half was always yours. Most people spend their entire lives blaming fortune for a number they were setting themselves, one apology at a time. Here's the part that should sit heavy. Nobody remembers the version of you that was easiest to get. Think about it honestly. The friend who bent over backward for everyone, who never once said no, who was always available at any hour for anyone. When that person finally leaves a room, a job, a life, most people feel relief before they feel loss, because availability was the only thing they ever offered. And availability is easy to replace. The person who was harder to reach, harder to move, harder to talk into things they didn't actually want, that's the person whose absence leaves an actual hole. Presence without a price is just furniture. Nobody misses furniture. They miss the person who was never for sale. So here is the version of you standing on the other side of this. Calm in rooms that used to make you perform. Quiet in silences that used to make you panic. Priced, not cold, not cruel, not unreachable. Just finally not for free. There is a tax on this, and nobody is going to pretend there isn't.
Some people will call you distant when what you actually became was selective. Some people will complain that you changed when what actually happened is you stopped discounting yourself to keep them comfortable. A few of them will leave. Let the accounting be honest. Anyone who only stayed because the price was zero was never actually a customer of you. They were a customer of your absence of standards, and that business is now closed. The version of you that apologized for existing has to end today. Not soften, not slowly fade. End. The same way a sale ends, on a fixed date, with a sign in the window that doesn't negotiate with anyone who shows up late asking for the old price. You do not owe that version of you a slow goodbye. You owe her a clean one. There is one more move I haven't given you yet. The exact sentence that raises your price in a single breath without a single raised voice. The one the most magnetic people in any room use without ever explaining where they learned it. That one is too sharp to hand out for free in a comment section. It goes to the people who prove, first, that they're actually done being the free sample. So prove it.
Time equals, quote, 0.5 seconds, quote, /greater than. If you're done apologizing for taking up space, you were always allowed to take. Comment the words, "not for free," below. I want to see exactly who's actually ready to change the number, and who's just going to keep reading this from the free bin. Subscribe if this found you. Not because a channel needs the number, because the version of you standing on the other side of your own price is worth showing up for again.